Hello folks, welcome back to Candace Boxing Channel. Well, earlier this morning I asked a question about who is a casual fan. And I would never have expected a long-time promoter who is old enough to be my father would ever possibly be thought of as a casual fan. But I've just read something on Seconds Out that makes me think that Nob Arum is a casual. I'm just joking, he's not a casual. I'm thinking that Nob Arum who is 94 years of age, a very smart fellow, a lawyer, promoter, very, very smart fellow, must be losing touch with reality or misremembering in some ways. And actually, I've thought this for a little while. You might remember, before Tyson Fury came unstuck against Alexander Usyk, Nob Arum was one of those people who was saying that Tyson Fury was the greatest heavyweight boxer he'd ever seen. I remember Nob Arum is 94, right? So if he started watching boxing when he was 20, that's still 74 years of boxing history, right? And he's probably started watching boxing when he was younger than that. But, I found it just bizarre that Nob Arum would be saying that. I mean, let's say he started watching boxing in 1950. I mean, like, for heaven's sake, the Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Sonny Liston, Floyd Patterson, Muhammad Ali, the great boxers of the 70s and of the 90s. But anyhow, it's what he said. And now he said something else that is almost equally weird. He has apparently told Seconds Out that Shakur Stevenson, who's clearly a very talented boxer, make no mistake about it. I actually find him a little bit boring to watch, but he's a very talented fellow. His most recent outing, he beat Josh Padley. He stopped him. Josh Padley, of course, is the former electrician who had been installing solar panels on his roof. Shakur Stevenson did stop him, but I mean, one wouldn't have said that was an elite level opponent, but whatever. Shakur Stevenson has won world championships in 3 weight divisions. He's 23-0, and he's 27 years old. So he should easily be able to fight for another 3, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe. Anyhow, he said Nob Arum, 94 years old Nob Arum, and chairman of Top Rank, said to the interviewer, "I remember years ago, way before you were born, when I was promoting Marvin Hagler. As good as he was, and he was great, you're gonna surpass him. I really believe that." This is apparently what he told Shakur Stevenson. So Nob Arum believes that Shakur Stevenson is going to surpass marvelous Marvin Hagler, which I read it a couple of times. I thought I was kind of flabbergasted. I mean, I'm assuming that everybody really knows a lot about or all about Marvin Hagler, but if not, Marvin Hagler was born in May 1954. His early pro career, he really had to fight very dangerous opponents without much mainstream recognition. He made his reputation by taking on top contenders, Benny Briscoe, Willie Monroe, Bobby Watts. He got his first title shot in 1979 against Vito Antuofermo for the WBC WBA middleweight championships. The judges robbed Hagler, in my opinion. They scored it a draw. And many people at the time felt that Hagler had done enough to win. Hagler eventually won the middleweight crown on September of 1980. And he beat Alan Minter. He stopped Alan Minter in London in 3 rounds. It was I was living in London at that time. It was a big fight. The crowd rioted, like literally rioted, and Hagler had to be escorted out. But he was the undisputed middleweight champion of the world in September 1980, and he was dominant throughout the 1980s. Just a few of his 12 successful title defenses. Mustafa Hamsho in 1981 and 84, dominated him twice, proved his skill. He beat Roberto Duran, for God's sake, in 1983. It was a unanimous decision, close decision. I mean, Roberto Duran is a legendary fighter. 1984, he fights Thomas the Hitman Hearns. Hagler stopped Hearns. It was a slugfest. John Mugabe, again, another undefeated legendary fighter. Hagler stopped him in 11. Of course, Sugar Ray Leonard, 1987. That was Hagler's final fight. I personally think that Hagler won. I lost money on that fight in the days when I used to bet a more substantial amount of money. I was a much younger person. I was working. The judges awarded Leonard a split decision victory. I mean, it's very debatable. Many believed Hagler had done enough to win. Hagler retired. He never returned. But Hagler's record is 62, 52 inside the distance, 3 losses and 2 draws. He's Hall of Famer from 1993 onwards. And unfortunately, sadly, he passed away in March of 2021. It seems to me preposterous to suggest that Shakur Stevenson can eclipse or surpass marvelous Marvin Hagler. And I'd love to know what you think. Like Shakur Stevenson? Anyhow, there's my take on it. Marvelous Marvin Hagler is one of the greatest middleweight fighters of all time, in my view. He does not, in my view, rise to the level of Sugar Ray Robinson, but their names can be used in the same sentence. And I'm sorry, but Shakur Stevenson. Anyhow, there we are. Let me know what you think. Please like, please share, please subscribe, and we will see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.